Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. In today's video, I want to make you aware of more situations of individuals being arrested because of their debt. Now, you might be saying, well, Steve, why are you even talking about this? Let me tell you some reasons why. I'm going to pinpoint this. Is number one, I believe that I owe it to these individuals to tell their stories. Because do you hear it on the news? Do you see it in newspapers? Do you even see it on other YouTube channels? And if I can get their stories out, and hopefully some of these individuals are maybe subscribers or come across my videos, because I want to help get their stories out. Because this happened to them. There's all of these different comments where people are saying this can't happen, that can't happen. When I'm reading from you, from the ACLU, about people who were arrested because of their debt. And these stories are not out there. So for me, this is like me giving them a voice. Because I think that they want to be heard. Wouldn't you want to be heard if something like this happened to you over some of these amounts from the other videos that I had read from? And I'm reading this. I'm not making this up. I'm reading this. These are the reports that the people who got arrested told the ACLU. It wasn't. They might have told had a news story, in one area, but it didn't make it nationwide. And you better bet, if this happened, wouldn't you think that it would be making it nationwide? So I think I have a responsibility, because number one, I want to tell these people's story, to show that I care about what happened to them, to let other people know that it did happen to them. And then also, if you are in a similar situation, to let you know what could happen so you can start moving forward to not have these types of things happen to you. And I will admit that even with my knowledge of all of the stuff that I've been able to do and help for myself and help other people, that some of the situations that I read in here has made me adjust some of the things that I tell people to do for helping them, because some of this stuff is like the laws in some areas were disregarded from what people should normally be able to do. Like from the example on the video released earlier this week, where the gentleman knew he had a warrant for his arrest for the debt, and he said, I want to just go ahead and pay it. Can I just pay this now? And they said, no, you have to come to the courthouse or to the police station. You have to get booked, and you have to pay the bail, and then we're going to release you. I never thought that type of situation would happen. So what they're essentially saying is that once the warrant at least in that area, once the warrant was put in place, there was nothing else that he could do other than go there, turn himself in. They get their money, so the city makes a little bit of money from that, and then you start dealing with the debt collector. So I owe it to you, I owe it to them, I owe it to everybody to make sure that these stories are being heard. So let's talk about some more stories. Let me read some more stories. In the Commonwealth of North Marina Island, was sentenced to 10 days in jail for failing to make court-ordered payments toward a debt he owed on a consumer line of credit from a bank. The bank, Pacific Financial Corporation, obtained a default judgment for $8,176 that included a payment plan of $60 a month. Mr. M failed to make the payments for 8 months and was ordered to appear at a hearing to show cause why he should not be held in contempt of court and jail. At the March 2005 hearing, he appeared without a lawyer and testified that he had not made payments because he was unemployed for the 9 months after the court had issued the judgment and had only recently found a job that paid $3.50 an hour. This is crazy. This obviously is not in our area. A net income of $248 every 2 weeks. He said he could not afford the payments because he supported his girlfriend and 4 minor children. The trial court ruled that he had the ability to comply with the court order in payments, found him in contempt and sentenced him to 10 days in jail. The sentence was suspended on the condition that he paid $30 a month until he was paid. Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariner Islands ruled that the trial court had failed to advise Mr. M of his rights to a lawyer and vacated the contempt order. All right, so I had paused the video real quick just to make sure. This Northern Mariner Islands is under United States control. It's a territory of the United States in the Pacific. And so this might be, I've had a lot of people from other countries now that have came across my videos and they're saying, can you help us in the UK? Can you help us in France? Can you help us in these different countries where they're having issues with debt collectors, and with the courts with issues similar to this? Let's move on to one where we're going to talk about an auto debt. Courts have issued warrants for arrest for various auto and transportation debts, including debts for car repairs, towing services, auto loans, unpaid car rental fees, fuel expenses, and subrogation claims owed to auto insurance company. I've seen this one here. In my state of Wisconsin, for auto insurance companies, they have a way to where they can actually suspend your license over you not paying auto insurance bills, and especially if you get into an auto accident without insurance. In our state, they could do that. Let's look at here. So, Mr. R was arrested by sheriff deputies Mrs. R was arrested by sheriff deputies at her Ohio home while caring for her 3-week-old baby. She had not appeared in a Bowling Green municipal court for a debt examination in connection with the judgment entered against her in a lawsuit by Dr. Auto Care. Dr. Auto Care for car repairs. Even though Mrs. R had filed for bankruptcy, and therefore the proceedings should not have been these proceedings should have automatically been stayed, because when you file for bankruptcy, they can't continue for any debts that are unsecured. And secured debt stuff gets put on pause. The creditor sought a bench warrant from the court. The court granted the request, issuing the warrant for contempt of court. Mrs. R failure to appear at the debtor's examination. When Mrs. R appeared in the court following her arrest, the creditor's attorney demanded payment. Mrs. R to propose a payment arrangement. The schedule for a second debtor's examination to be held 9 days later. Mrs. R sued the creditor for violating the automatic stay imposed by her bankruptcy filing. So you can see, that's what I was saying earlier, is that even with certain information being available to the courts, that people's rights are being trampled on, because she should never have been in this situation. All she would have had to do is provide the matrix. But also, by her just saying that she filed for bankruptcy, this creditor's attorney should have had just backed off fully, that they should not have continued with what they were doing. So let's move on. A Washington couple, Michael Gray and Nicole Hart, were arrested and jailed overnight for missing a hearing in a case to collect an auto loan deficiency they owed to Zion's First National Bank. When they defaulted on the auto loan, the bank repossessed their pickup truck and filed a lawsuit against them for the balance they owed on the loan, $3,650.90, which ballooned to $5,090.29 with interest and fees. After nearly a full year of having their wages garnished to pay down the debt, the couple filed for bankruptcy primarily because they were unable to pay back this debt and feared further garnishment. They missed a March 16 supplemental proceeding, a debtor's examination for the proposed purpose of collecting the judgment, and a Cowlitz County Superior Court issued bench warrants for their arrest 2 weeks later, setting bail at $1,000 each. The warrants and the judge's orders granted. The bench warrants were not served on the couple. The debt collector did not even notify the couple that they had applied for and obtained the warrants. Instead, 2 months later, 2016, 5 sheriff's deputies came to their home one evening at 7 p.m. When Gray opened the door, the deputies immediately pulled him out. That's a violation. Handcuffed him on the lawn and placed him in the back of a squad car while they waited for his wife to return home so they could arrest her as well. For over an hour, Gray sat helplessly in a police car outside of his home, watching as his 6-year-old disabled son cried and ran in and out of their home. When Hart arrived, she was also arrested, and the deputies informed her that they would have a child protective services have to call child protective services if she could not find someone to watch their young son. Eventually, their older son, himself a minor, came home to watch their 6-year-old. Gray endured humiliation, strip searched, and Hart went through an evasive pat-down and search that required them to remove her false teeth and underwire bra. Both spent a night in jail before posting bail. The entire time Gray and Hart were in jail, they had no idea why they were there. The deputies never informed them, and it was only just prior to their arraignment hearing the next morning, which they were forced to attend without lawyers, that they had discovered that the arrest warrant associated with a debt owed to the bank. Gray and Hart had to tell their employers that they would miss work. Hart, a clerk at a local Target, had to tell her employer that she had been arrested. Once back at work a few days later, Hart was required as part of her job duties to serve several of the sheriff's deputies at the correctional officers who had participated in her arrest and incarceration, according to a lawsuit she filed against the bank and the collection company. She later she filed again against the bank and the collection company. At the time she had to assist these law enforcement officers, she had to relive the experiences of being jailed. And these instances have caused her to have an emotional meltdown. Now, so I just want to read these stories to you. I want to get these people's stories out there. And again, if you find yourself in a situation like this, you should immediately go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. In the live chat, type in your situation, type in your phone number, so we can give you good information so you don't find yourself in a situation like this. Because even if you can end up suing them later, even if you could do all of the stuff to write your name, to get your name back in good standing, Do you want to find yourself going through this? Because that's what I think is lost, is that people always look at the end result saying, oh, they were able to get out, they were able to sue later. Did you hear what she said? Her husband was sat in the back of a police car for hours, then watching his wife get arrested when she came home, and then watching his 6-year-old son run inside and outside of the house. And you got police officers saying that what they're going to do is call the Child Protective Services if they can't find someone to take care of their child. People, we don't need to have people go through this. So right now, what I need you to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. I think that I'm doing a great service getting these people's stories out so you can know that this stuff is happening. Next thing is, if you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch video What Makes Us Different so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you early in the game, grab my 3-pack of letters. Statute of limitations, debt validation, cease and desist collection activities letter. Before I close, I have right here credit reports. Right here, credit reports. This young lady being sued by a law group. And, a law group took over the case. They haven't sued her yet, but they're holding the case from Wells Fargo. Debt is past the legal statute of limitations to collect. They cannot even sue her for this debt. Using my simple notification letter, this whole debt for $6,421 will go away guaranteed, because they have she has no legal obligation to pay the debt because it's past the state's legal statute of limitations to collect on the debt. She can pay it if she feels that she has a moral obligation, but no legal obligation. We're talking about legal obligation. And the debt is past legal statute of limitations to even be placed on her credit reports. But if you don't know your rights, if you don't even know how long debt can stay on your credit reports without you doing anything, 7 years. Good or bad. If you don't know your statute of limitations for your debt, it's different for every state. For the state that she lives in, it's a 6-year statute of limitations. This debt is 7 years. So it's past the statute of limitations to even be able to collect. So grab those letters if you find yourself in that situation. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.